Aloha. Thank you for joining us here at TruthMadeEasy.com as we continue with our Apologetics Made Easy video training course. As I shared in the preview video, we'll be focusing our studies primarily on the 5 topics here in our 5-point hand illustration. Hopefully you've had a chance to view that video, which gives you a snapshot overview of the whole course. If not, I suggest you check that out after watching this video. Let's quickly run through our 5 main points that we talked about earlier. Point 1, God exists. Our goal is to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that God exists and do so without using the Bible. Point 2, if God exists, miracles are possible. Point 3, the New Testament is historically reliable. Simplified, it's a good history book. We can believe what it tells us. And what does the New Testament tell us about the central figure of the New Testament? It tells us that Jesus Christ claimed to be God. And not only did he claim to be God, but he also proved he was God. That's point 4. Jesus is God. Now we know that whatever God teaches is true. What did Jesus, who was God, teach? He taught, point 5 here, that the Bible, both the Old and New Testament, is the Word of God. As I shared earlier, we're using for our text the book I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist by Norman Geisler and Frank Turek, an excellent resource to have in your library. In addition to the paper copy, there's also an audio version available that's great to listen to on your smartphone, iPod, at home, or in the car, where you can learn the concepts we're covering at a deeper level. As I pointed out in the preview video, we're going to spend a little time studying the differences between the major world religions and then talk a little bit about the topic of truth. After we cover both of those, we'll get to our 5 main points where we'll spend most of our time and then wrap up the course with some bonus videos on the topic of evolution and creation. Again, the big picture, some short studies on world religions and truth, our 5 main points, and then our study on evolution. In this video, we'll help to lay the groundwork for the rest of our course as we talk about some of the major religions and worldviews that are out there today. When we say worldviews, we're talking about how people see things from a spiritual perspective, how they view the world, the worldview. A person's worldview includes, among other things, their viewpoint on, for example, where we came from, why we're here on earth, our purpose for living, where we go after we die, and so on. Some have a worldview where God exists, others have a worldview that does not include God. Now we can put most of the major religions and worldviews into one of 3 groups, with our first group being theism, our second group, pantheism, and the third group, atheism. Now both theism and pantheism believe in some form of God, while atheism believes that there is no God. Let's take a quick look at each of these groups now, beginning with theism. For theism, I've added an image here of a tree, which can help to make it easier for you to remember the term theism. Tree sort of sounds like theism, doesn't it? Okay, the 3 main theistic religions are Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. You may already be familiar with the term, or the Greek word I should say, theos, which means God. From this comes the word theism. Now these 3 theistic religions have the belief in one God, and this God is a personal God. Here we have a box. To better understand God and his relationship to the universe, we'll let this box represent the universe, with all the galaxies, planets, stars, people, and other life forms. Now, theism teaches that God made the box. God made the universe and everything in it. In short, God made all. And this God is outside or beyond the universe. He is not part of the universe. Our next group here is pantheism. The picture of the pan here may be helpful for you to remember the term pantheism. The pan in the word pantheism means all, combined with theos, which means God. You get all is God. Pantheism includes some forms of Buddhism, Hinduism, and also the New Age. Pantheists believe that God is the ocean, God is the trees, God is the sand, God is you, God is me, all is God. Using our box illustration again with the universe and all life forms being the box, pantheists don't believe as the theists do. They don't believe that God is outside or beyond the universe. They believe that God is the universe, or in our example here, that God is the box. In short, God is all. Lastly, we come to atheism. Religious humanism would fall into this category. atheists believe that there is no God. The word atheist is actually a combination of two words, which means no, and theos, which means God, together, no God. Now, stop and think about that for a moment. How does any human know with 100% absolute certainty that there is no God? Does the atheist possess all knowledge? Does he or she know about everything, everywhere? Of course not. No one has infinite knowledge. We are all limited human beings with limited knowledge. To be absolutely 100% certain that there is no God, one would need to know all there is to know about everything, everywhere in the entire universe. Let me illustrate this point. Let's say that this red circle here was to represent all the available knowledge in the entire universe, and this white dot here represents how much knowledge the smartest person in the world possesses. No, let's say that this person is way smart. Let's say they're in the Albert Einstein, Stephen Hawking category, and this big white dot is how much they know. Look at all the red area inside the circle that still remains, all that the person doesn't know. Is it possible that maybe, just maybe, God does exist and they just don't know about it yet? That's at least a possibility, isn't it? Looking at our box, once again, we have the universe and all life forms, but there's no God outside or inside the box because, according to atheism, there is no God at all. I should point out here that there's also another group of people who don't believe in God that are called agnostics. The agnostic is unsure about God. The agnostic says, I don't know if there's a God or not. One type of agnostic, which we could call a soft agnostic, would say something like, God might exist, I just don't know for sure. While another type of agnostic, which we could call a hard agnostic, might say, I don't know if there's a God, and nobody can know. Okay, let's summarize what we have learned so far. There are three main groups of religions or worldviews: theism, pantheism, and atheism. By the way, these are covered in more detail in the book. I don't have enough faith to be an atheist. I like the phrases that Norm Geisler and Frank Turek use in the book to help us remember the differences between these three main groups. As we see at the bottom of the slide under each of the boxes, you have, under theism, God made all. Under pantheism, God is all. And with atheism, no God at all. Again, looking at our boxes, with theism, God is outside the box, outside the universe. With pantheism, God is the universe, and with atheism, the universe and life is all there is because there is no God at all. You know, when you look at this illustration, you can understand why people are so confused about God and religion. And these are just a few of the religions and belief systems that are out there. So, is there a God? If so, which is the one true God? Well, to discover the truth about God, we need to understand what truth is. We'll talk about that in our next video and go over some basic tools that we'll use throughout the course to determine which of these is the one true religion or worldview. That's next in the video, What is Truth? In it we'll see how truth applies to everyone, is narrow, and has an opposite. Join us for that.